They are considered the wealthiest family of all time. Some even argue that they're worth trillions. Yet you won't find them on the Forbes Top 100 list. Their family has had over 300 years to build their wealth and likewise hide it. They own dozens of mansions, private estates, and even art collections that rival national museums. Their influence spans banking, politics, global finance, and yet they remain shrouded in mystery. This is the Rothschilds. Let's go. The Rothschild family can trace their lineage all the way back to the 1450s in the Jewish ghettos, or Judengasse, of Frankfurt, but really became the family we know them as today under Meyer Amschel Rothschild. Now, Meyer was a court factor, or a court Jew, a Jewish banker that handled the money of royalty or nobility. And in this case, Meyer worked for the Crown Prince Wilhelm, later Wilhelm IX of Landgraven of Hesse-Kassel. Now, Wilhelm inherited a massive fortune from his father, so Meyer was in charge of managing the elector's estate, supervising the properties, and tax collection, among other things. Now, over time, the two men forged a strong relationship, which allowed Meyer to meet and befriend other nobles and also expand his business. Now, here is where the family starts their rise. In 1770, Meyer married Gutel Schnapper, who was the daughter of a money changer and a court factor. Now, the couple went on to have 10 kids, 5 sons and 5 daughters. As Meyer's banking empire continued to expand, he taught his sons the ins and outs of the business, and eventually in the early 1800s, Meyer dispersed his sons across the continent to form their own banking branches. Amschel Rothschild stayed in Frankfurt, Solomon Rothschild went to Vienna, Nathan Rothschild went to London, Karl Rothschild went to Naples, and Jacob Rothschild went to Paris. Now, the late 1700s to early 1800s was a time of revolution and war. And as bankers, the Rothschilds were able to profit off of trading goods, but more importantly, supplying loans to the battling kings and emperors. Now, the Rothschilds, more specifically Nathan, was instrumental in the battle against Napoleon. The British government commissioned him to supply the Duke of Wellington with the money he needed to pay his troops and supply loans to the British allies. Anyway, Nathan, with the help of his brothers, created a vast network of agents and shippers to transfer millions worth of gold across Europe and even convert it into local currency. Eventually, the Continental Allies won the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, and there was once again peace in Europe until the revolutions of 1848 and the Crimean War of 1853. After this, the Rothschilds were one of the most powerful families and banking institutions in the world, and in the coming centuries, the Rothschilds helped in the following. Finance the independence of Brazil from Portugal. Finance the Rio Tinto mining company, of which they eventually had a full control. Finance the British government's successful attempt to procure the Khedive of Egypt's share in the Suez Canal. Finance De Beers, the diamond mining company. Finance the creation of the African colony of Rhodesia. Provide loans to Japan during the Russo-Japanese War, and a lot more. Now, the Rothschilds did face some setbacks during the 20th century. In 1901, the German branch closed its doors after the German patriarch Wilhelm Rothschild died with no male heirs. Furthermore, the rise of the Nazis led to the persecution of the family. When Nazis annexed Austria, the Austrian Rothschilds were pressured to sell their banking operations at a fraction of their value and forced to flee. The Rothschilds were everything the Nazis hated: Jewish, rich, and powerful. One of the Rothschild, Ludwig or Louis Nathaniel de Rothschild, was even arrested and held for ransom, which the family paid to a tune of $21 million in 1938. In addition, the French Rothschilds were also forced to flee when the Nazis invaded and occupied France. In both cases, the Austrian and French Rothschilds had their properties seized, assets stolen, including dozens of incredibly valuable sculptures, tapestries, and paintings. Even with some extremely hard hits in the early 20th century, the Rothschilds have not slowed down due to their business prowess and financial wit. Now, the family has splintered considerably more since the original 5 brothers, but that does not necessarily mean that the family is not still wealthy. Their wealth is invested in dozens of countries around the world and also dozens of industries, including banking, oil, mining, wine, and a lot more. Now, over the course of their exalted 300 years of excellence, the Rothschilds, splurged a little bit on some properties. So here are some examples of some of those mansions or estates. Waddesdon Manor, Spencer House, Dalmany House, De Haar Castle, Hotel Solomon de Rothschild, Rothschild Palais, Schloss Rothschild, Mentmore Towers, and Halton House. In addition, the extended family has collected hundreds of thousands of pieces of history, estimated to be worth in the billions. They have paintings, furniture, metalwork, ancient artifacts, military gear, jewelry, and more. Since they've been wealthy for so long, they were able to purchase amazing pieces back when they were relatively inexpensive. Now, in the intro, when I mentioned that you won't find the Rothschilds on the Forbes Top 100 list, I wasn't kidding. You won't even find them in the top 600. Now, when you look, you will see a Jeffrey Rothschild at 601, but I checked. There is no relation, just a coincidental last name. But Evan, surely this means that the family's not wealthy anymore. Well, the Forbes list really focuses on individual wealth and also publicly known wealth. And since the family's been around for 300 years, the fortune has been split many times. So yeah, it would be a little silly to estimate how much money this family has, but also keep in mind, this family made their name in banking. So it would not be a surprise to me at all if a lot of their money is tied up in private trusts, family foundations, and spread across investments in different countries and companies all around the world. On top of that, the family has been the center of conspiracy theories for decades, so there's a ton of misinformation out there, which a fair amount of people still believe to this day. Now, the Rothschild family is no novice when it comes to philanthropy. With over a dozen foundations started by different family members, the family has been donating and supporting the less fortunate for centuries. These include the following. Fondation de Rothschild supports the elderly, young, and sick. Philippine de Rothschild Corporate Foundation supports young authors, scriptwriters, and playwrights. Rothschild Foundation Europe supports Jewish cultural heritage and communal life in Europe. The Rothschild Foundation supports the arts, heritage, environment, and social welfare. Edmond de Rothschild Foundations, which is a group of 10 structures that include foundations in France, Israel, Switzerland, and the United States. Errand Rothschild Foundation, which supports medical research and welfare. And the Rothschild Family Charitable Foundation, which helps improve the lives of people in California. The family has also funded and built hospitals, maternity wards, and also offered up their estates for military use during wartime. Now, the last thing that I want to share with you is the Rothschilds' coat of arms. Now, the 5 brothers were knighted and became barons by the Austrian emperor in 1822. And on their coat of arms, you will see an arm clutching 5 arrows. This symbolizes the 5 brothers and their unity. Furthermore, their motto of Concordia Integritas Industria, which means harmony, integrity, and industry. The Rothschilds are a rare example to the generational wealth rule. Their family practiced and preached strong financial literacy and hard work. Now, some of you may say that since the family isn't on the Forbes list or flaunting their money online, that they aren't rich. But that might be exactly what the family wants you to think. They faced hundreds of years of persecution and hate, and it took them generations to build the wealth that they now have. It would make sense for them to want to diversify their assets, hide their wealth, and keep a low profile. And with that, I'm Evan, and thanks for watching. If you liked what you just saw, then click on the video here. Also, if you haven't, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos.